So I'm going to introduce those people. Ms. Karen Radcliffe is the principal of Ashley Ridge.
Hey, good evening, y'all.
Hello. Ms. Megan Jenkins, who's a counselor here at Ashley Ridge High School. She is, I believe, videotaping, which makes me nervous. I didn't realize that was going to happen. Ms. Shannon Scott in the back. She is our counseling director at Ashley Ridge. And then now with our P&I team, as we call it, again, I'm Ms. Gammons. This is Tiffany Ravenel. She is a school counselor with Prevention and Intervention. Ebony Summers Fogel, assistant principal with our team. Ms. Toya Richardson, she is a school counselor. And then also Ms. Stewart, she is a counseling intern. Ms. Radcliffe, is there anything that you wanted to say before?
I would love to.
Okay.
Y'all, I can't thank y'all enough for coming out tonight. I know y'all are busy and have a lot going on. But y'all, this is a great opportunity to see all that we offer. You will hear me say over and over the 4 years that your student has been at Ashley Ridge, that we basically have the thought that we don't want to see any student fail for any reason. And I've always said that if a student fails at Ashley Ridge, they are really making a concerted effort to fail. And so we've got to change some mindsets. So we have put so many pieces in place for students to help them. We have the program called Prevention and Intervention. We want to take care of business before they get to the failure part. So tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to hear about different things that we have at Ashley Ridge that you may not be aware of. Ways that we can help your students recover credits, recover quarters if a student fails a quarter, if a student needs some additional assistance in virtual school. Things like that you're going to hear tonight that hopefully will give you just some information to help push your student to the next level of success. And that's what we're looking for. We want all of our students. We know that the fifth Radcliffe non-negotiable is we want our kids to graduate in 4 years. We want them to make sure that they have some options when they graduate. Those options may be the workplace, they may be the military, they may be a 4-year college, a 2-year college, a trade school. We want them to be college and career ready. So anything that we can do to assist, y'all, we're here to help you. And tonight, you'll get a better idea of all that we have to offer your students. So y'all, welcome to Ashley Ridge. I appreciate y'all coming tonight. Ms. Gammons?
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
I failed to mention a very integral part of our program, and I apologize. She was kind of in the corner. She's very much behind the scenes a lot of time. Mrs. Kim Harmon, right here, she is our Prevention and Intervention Secretary. She did a lot of legwork for our program, so I apologize, Ms. Kim. I didn't see you visually, and so that was my fault. So moving on with the program. So what do we do? Ms. Radcliffe mentioned some of that. Our primary focus is to help with on-time graduation. We want to increase student retention. So we're trying to help students make those decisions, whether, we'll go through some of this in the presentation, whether the traditional school is not for them, then we can have them maybe secure another avenue. But we want education, obviously as educators, we want them to pursue some type of career in education so they can help them further. And then also post-secondary assistance. So after high school, what are you going to do? We help with that. So how do we do that? There are really so many ways that they don't fit on a slide, or 3 probably, because there are a lot of things that we do on a daily basis, but this is kind of the meat of it. We do student counselor check-ins, so our prevention and intervention program are assigned caseloads of students. So within that caseload, we meet with our students typically every week, multiple times a week. It just depends on what those students' needs are. And that's what the student counselor check-in. So it could be about grades, it could be about attendance, it could be about something that happened last night, with their boyfriend. It could be, we're have a holistic approach You know, we do obviously tell students that your relationship is not your focus, right? Let's focus where we need to, but we do understand that can prohibit them sometimes during the day. We have an evening school program, and I think we go through this in more detail throughout the presentation, so I'm going to try to keep this short. I tend to go on and on, I apologize. And that's basically, I'll be brief, where we have Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we have students that come in and work on assignments or classes that they're taking outside of school, and they do that here. It's free, participation is free, and we also are providing transportation for those kids. Home visits, so if there's a situation that would warrant us going to the home of a student or family, or the workplace, or the church, or wherever we can find them, if it's because of attendance or grades, or, you know, we just need to kind of have everybody come together. The parents don't have transportation, and so they can't come to a meeting at the school. We meet them where they need us to. Graduation audits, we do those monthly. We meet as a team, and we go through all of our students essentially that have started here at Ashley Ridge at any point in time and figure out where they are. If we don't know where they are, how we can find them. We have a mentor program that I'll be talking about, voluntary givings, alternative placement, that will be referred to as GAP, voluntary SKIP, which is school intervention program, and then Dorchester mental health referrals.
Okay, so again, I'm Ms. Ravenel. I'm the 11th and 12th grade prevention and intervention counselor. This is just the requirements for graduation with a South Carolina high school diploma. All students need 4 English credits, 4 math credits. So anytime a student fails English or math because they need one each year, that's very important for us to work with students to get caught up with. They need 3 science credits. The recommendation is to take an additional science because most colleges require 3 lab sciences, but just for high school graduation, they do need the 3 science credits. U.S. history, government and econ, and at least 1 other social studies credit, PE or ROTC. If a student takes ROTC but they want to take weightlifting, they do have to go back and take PE 1. ROTC is not able to be a prerequisite for weightlifting. You get asked that a lot. And a computer science credit, a foreign language, or a career and technical education class. So some students go to the career school or they take Intro to Culinary Arts or entrepreneurship. Those count as a CAPE credit, career and technical education credit, or they can take a foreign language. So just know that you don't necessarily have to have a foreign language to graduate from high school, but if you're interested in attending a 4-year college, you do want to do that if you want to go directly to a 4-year college. And then they need 7 electives, so with a total of 24 credits being needed to graduate from high school. Our promotion requirements. So up until a few years ago, most students were automatically promoted to the next grade. It didn't matter whether they earned 1 credit, 8 credits, 2 credits, however many credits, they were automatically promoted to the next grade. And once they were in their 3rd year going into their 4th year, they had to have a certain amount of credits to be considered a senior, okay? So for students, that can be misleading. If you are a 9th grader but you have 1 credit and then you're promoted to the 10th grader with just that 1 credit, there isn't a sense of urgency or anything for you to go back and recover those courses that you did not pass if you're kind of sitting in a 10th grade homeroom, you know, have a 10 on your ID, you think that you're good. So we implemented our promotion requirements. So with this requires students to meet requirements in order to be promoted to the next grade level. So for students to be promoted to the 10th grade, they have to have at least 6 credits. 1 has to be in English, 1 has to be in math, and 1 has to be in science, and then 3 other elective credits. Then in order for them to be promoted to the 11th grade, they have to have 12 credits, 2 English credits, 2 math credits, 2 science credits, and at least 1 social studies credits, and then the remainder can be electives. And then to be considered a senior, they have to have at least 17 credits, or be able to be enrolled in everything that they need to graduate. So let's say they are behind in English, maybe they need 2 English credits. If they have at least 17 and we can fit 2 English credits into their schedule their senior year, then they still are considered a senior. Okay, so just as long as they're able to be scheduled for all the classes that they need to graduate, they can still achieve that senior status. But the goal is to not have to set yourself up to take all of those core classes at one time, because that can be pretty difficult to do. So for students that do not meet those promotion requirements, they are retained, and we try to do what we can do to help them get back on track. So some of the ways that we do that is by creative scheduling. Most of you all know that we are on a traditional schedule. We have 7 classes a day, year long. But we have worked really hard to build block classes into our schedule so that students aren't having to double up and take 2 Englishes all year long. It's really difficult to write 2 research papers or to read 2 novels all at one time. So we'll have students scheduled to where they take maybe English 1 first semester, and then second semester take English 2. So each of those are 2 periods. So that's one thing that we do. And then we also have students complete coursework outside of school, and we use our evening school program to do that. And through evening school, they're either able to take courses through virtual school or through our APEX program. And they're 2 totally different programs. They both kind of have their pros and cons, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And they are also able to either recover credits. So if they failed a course, depending on how high their grade was for that course, they can complete credit recovery without having to retake the entire course. So essentially, with credit recovery, you're trying to show that you've mastered the content. So if you failed Algebra 1, let's say with a 55, there's a lot of things about Algebra 1 that you understood, but maybe there's just 1 or 2 topics that you didn't get. So instead of having a student sit through an entire year of Algebra 1 because they didn't understand, finding the value of slope, or, just something kind of basic, they can complete credit recovery. So with that, you'll take a pretest. If you master the content, you opt out of those lessons. And whichever content gave you the most trouble, that's what you'll kind of fail and have to do those lessons for. So it's helpful for students, to prevent them from having to sit through an entire class. And sometimes it can help with behavior. I've seen students that have failed a class, and when they're placed back in that class, sometimes they've learned the material, and they're a disruption to other students that's sitting in the class for the first time. So credit recovery can be very helpful sometimes with helping students catch up with their credits. The only thing is, keep in mind, if you have any athletes, it's not NCAA eligible. So you want to make sure that if you are an athlete and you're planning to attend college or play sports in college, that you'll definitely need to retake the course versus doing credit recovery. And then for any student that does not meet the grade requirement for credit recovery, or if the course is not offered, you would just do initial credit. So that's just pretty much taking the class for the first time. Okay, we do have a career school, which we'll talk about more, but it allows our students to earn like 1 additional credit, because it's 2 credits first semester, then 2 credits second semester, and that is very engaging for students. To me, for some students that have felt interested in or disengaged from school, the career school is very hands-on, so it can kind of pique their interest. Then we have several school-based resources, SLT, which we'll talk about more, and adult ed and other community resources. Sorry, we're going to talk about all this stuff. I'm just talking too much.
May I interject here for 1
Yes.
second? So with the credit recovery option, it's important to know that when the student does complete that coursework, the highest grade they will receive at this point on our grading scale will be a 60. So that would be the one other thing to keep in mind. Also, we didn't mention summer school with APEX and virtual school. So we just mentioned evening school. But if it happens that you're thinking about summer coursework, there is Dorchester District 2 Summer School, who uses APEX, and we'll go over the difference between APEX and virtual school here. And then virtual school, which is a separate summer school program. Well, it's summer and all year long, but in that situation, So Dorchester District 2 is for a fee, and then you also go to the school, there's a teacher, they use Apex, and they help you there. If you were to ever consider summer coursework through virtual school, again, that is free for all students. However, you would just be working with the virtual school teacher, so there wouldn't be someone, physically there available to help with that coursework.
Okay, so the differences between Apex and virtual school. So Apex is a program, it's kind of based throughout the school. So students that are completing an Apex program, they have to do it through Ashley Ridge, and they have to do it either in the classroom setting, so like they have to have an Apex class scheduled on their schedule, or, and that's usually, or they're doing it in evening school, and as Ms. Gandon said, summer school. So they do have a Ashley Ridge teacher that is their teacher of record that can kind of support them throughout the course and help them when they need help. It's self-paced, but it needs to be completed, it has to be completed by the school year, and our goal is really for it to be completed by semesters. So if a student is starting an Apex course now, the goal in evening school would be for them to finish by the end of first semester. That doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. And students can enroll in an Apex course at any time. So suppose you're a new student to Ashley Ridge, and as we're looking over your credit audit, we see that you're missing an English credit and you're behind. We can just put you right in an Apex class and you can start at any point. We just want to make sure that you'll be able to finish the course by the end of the year. It's not always the case with virtual school. Virtual school, like Ms. Gandon said, is offered through the State Department. In those courses, you can enroll in them during the 3 terms. So they have a fall term, a spring term, and a summer term. You have to register when registration opens. If you miss that window, you miss out on being able to take a class during that term. So again, with Apex, we can add you to the Apex course at any time. Virtual school, you have to do it during that term. And again, you kind of have to work with your virtual school teachers. So there are people in the building that are familiar that could help and answer questions, but ultimately when a student struggles, they have to communicate with their virtual school teacher, and that may not always be the easiest thing to do because a lot of them are teachers and kind of work full time, so they don't always get back to you as quickly as you would like. Apex has more options of credit recovery, and virtual school has a handful of options. So you would just kind of maybe want to talk to your counselor to see, depending on your situation, which program would be better for you to use to try to get back on track with your courses.
In both of these programs, you can work from home in addition to the classroom. With Apex, however, because it has a classroom teacher assigned, if you take a quiz within that system and you fail it, our teacher would be responsible for resetting that quiz, so you would just have to wait until the next contact with that teacher, if it's at class or if it's evening school. You can email, that person, when you respond, but with virtual school, the retakes, I don't believe the retakes are there as an option. I mean, it's based on class and teacher, so you would just work with that specific teacher virtually.
So this next slide just talks about Apex course offerings, and then it just goes into what the courses are for English. I know in the back it's probably a little hard to see. So this first column has English 1 through English 4. Then it goes into mathematics, algebra 1, 2, 3, geometry, pre-calculus, and probability and statistics. And then it goes into the science courses, social studies, world languages, health and physical education, and other electives. So these are the courses that would be offered on Apex.
Just a quick tidbit. The physical science in Apex does not meet graduation requirements, but not physical science, physical education, sorry. But the physical education in virtual school does meet graduation requirements.
So the next slide talks about Apex credit recovery options. This is what Ms. Ravenel was talking about earlier in regards to the options for credit recovery, there's a limited number of courses. Or there's more courses in Apex and a limited number in virtual school.
And I think there are only 3 or 4 courses that are not offered for credit recovery that are offered in initial credit.
These are the registration dates that are for virtual school. The fall of this year, the Fast Track, it actually opened on the 27th just for our students who are in 7th through 10th grade, but it did open last week for grades 11 through 12. And then also our fall 2017 credit recovery, it's open between August the 15th through October the 13th for students, and most of them are in those courses as we speak. But they still have until the 13th to apply for credit recovery. Then we also have registration dates in the spring, starting January 3rd through the 17th for students who are in grades 11 through 12. And then also Spring Fast Track, which is a shorter version, I believe it's 8 weeks. Their registration also opens January 3rd through March 9th for grades 11 through 12, and January 10th through March 9th for students in grades 7 through 10.
And many times with the virtual school Fast Track, those are mainly, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, elective classes. Mm-hmm. So if you need a English, math, science, or social studies, you want to make sure that you do the regular registration dates. You want to register then. And then credit recovery is usually a large window. And like it says there, if I register for credit recovery on a Wednesday, then next Monday it'll start. If I register for on a Monday, I'll have to wait until that following Monday. But if any of your students need elective classes now, and you think virtual school might be for them, the Fast Track is open. And your counselors, will have this information as well.
And so these are the Fast Track courses that are going to be, that are available right now, that are open. So you have your career and technology education courses, which is under the subject, fine arts, PE/health, and social studies. And then it tells the course name in the middle, the duration, how long the course is on Fast Track, and the credit amount.
So if you do have a student right now that has been retained, this is a good option, especially if they've earned all their core credits and maybe didn't get, some of their electives. This is a good opportunity for them to be promoted to the next grade level by January. If they enroll in the Fast Track course, they can finish. It ends on December the 3rd.
And this is just a slide in regard to the spring 2018 regular courses. Once again, it's kind of set up the same way where what the subject is, the course, the duration, which are 14 weeks for regular courses, the credit amount, whether it's a half of credit or a full credit, and then the second column is additional courses as well.
And if you do have a student that you feel would benefit from a virtual school course, and or Apex for the spring or now, they are open to working on that in evening school. So it's only two nights a week, but at least those 2 nights they would have a teacher there to assist them. And your school counselor, your student's counselor, they have the application, the school application, and all the information, or when we go to questions, you're welcome to ask those.
And these are the credit recovery course offerings on virtual school. It has the core courses here, which what we were talking about earlier is the limited amount of credit recovery options. All this information, too, is located on virtualsc.org. It has the course offerings. It has registration dates. It also has information about the website, its teachers. All of that information is on there.
And just a little tidbit, since virtual school is kind of not in-house, their goal is for our students to be successful. So if you reach out to any virtual school instructor, they're very willing to work with the student. I've seen them open courses back up to allow students to submit more work so that they can pass. You know, they give extensions. You just have to communicate with them, okay? So some students are like, oh, virtual school's so hard, but it's just something that you have to stay on pace with. But they're just as supportive there as our teachers in this building. We just have to make sure that we communicate with them.
Evening school, which was mentioned earlier, is held on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 4:15 to 7:15. It gives kids an opportunity to work on their APEX and or virtual school coursework. Everyone is provided a light dinner, which they have really been enjoying, and transportation can be provided. There are buses that will take the kids home in the evening, which has greatly increased our attendance and is wonderful. And there are certified teachers there in the areas of English, math, science, social studies, and special education. And they do assist kids with their elective courses as well if needed. And there's always an administrator there, and for multiple hours during the week, a counselor to assist them as well.
And we do have a school resource officer that is present, since we tend to be alone sometimes in the building.
The Dorchester County Career and Technology Center, there are two of them, two locations. One is in Dorchester County that we share with Dorchester District 2, and the Trolley Road location. And there are so many multiple hands-on vocational programs available for those students, and they can earn an additional credit by doing those courses. And the courses are listed here. They include barbering and nail technology, and several of them give kids an opportunity to earn certification by the time that they graduate as well. So in addition to their diploma, they may be a certified barber and able to work as soon as they graduate. Some of our school-based resources include quarter recovery, which is handled on a classroom by classroom, sometimes department by department basis, but it's handled at the teacher level. If a student fails the quarter, the teacher may give the student work to complete to help them get to a passing grade for that quarter. Credit recovery is what was referenced earlier, which occurs at the end of the year once the grade has been finalized. The kid can recover some credit. Tutoring is offered by teachers at various times, a lot of times though, during SLT, which we'll talk about in a little while. Parent-teacher conferences, of course, which you can schedule by calling the school and talking through guidance. The student support team meetings include the school psychologist and any special education personnel, all teachers, anyone who supports the student in making the best decisions and the best placements for those children. 504 and IEP meetings, SLT, structured learning time, which like I said we'll expand on a little bit later. And then senior advisory is for seniors who have early release. If they are not meeting their requirements as far as their grades are concerned, then they no longer have early release and stay in for tutoring and extra work until they can get back on track.
Question.
With the quarter recovery, does it have to happen after the quarter is finished, like the child has actually failed, or does it take place, like if they are failing right now, or halfway through the quarter,
So it does take place after the quarter has ended, but there are a lot of things in place now to prevent that. So most teachers offer test corrections, and like most students are able to turn in late work. Some teachers don't even penalize them for it. Some teachers may allow them to turn it in for a 50. And to be honest with you, a lot of times quarter recovery is turning in your missing work. So students end up having to turn it in anyway to recover the grade. So it only brings their failing grade up to a 60. So you may as well turn it in during the quarter and get at least more than a 60 for it versus waiting until quarter recovery and just getting at the max of 60 for it. But yes, it's only after they have failed for the quarter.
So if you see that your student is failing and it's the interim, then I would suggest, reaching out to the teachers to figure out what those guidelines are if they weren't in the syllabi. And then, scheduling a parent-teacher conference, I think does not hurt at all. I'm a big fan, supporter of those. And so I just wanted to indicate the difference between a parent-teacher conference and a student support team meeting is, a student support team meeting is when you feel that your student may need something more than he or she is being offered, and Ms. Summers-Fogel mentioned the school psychologist. So if you feel your student may be in need of special education and all the teachers have communicated that there's a particular challenge that they're seeing in the classroom across the board, then that's when we would schedule one of those. But any point that you have a concern, definitely reaching out to the teachers to inquire about their guidelines and how they feel, that the best would best suit your child or help them, and then a parent-teacher conference. And all of the teachers are available during SLT, and we'll get into it, and I talk too much too, but they have that option of seeing them, and the counselors can create a schedule for them so that they can see particular teachers on certain days.
Is SLT and ILT the same thing? It's just changed names, or is it?
So ILT refers to the lunch part, the eating part, I believe.
Okay.
Because you can really do whatever you need to do at that time. So if you need to eat lunch, or if you need to go to attendance to take care of, turn in a note, or if you need to go, check in with the nurse for your medication or something, whatever the case may be, if you have to see your counselor. SLT refers to the structured learning time. So all three high schools, what we've done is we hold students in fourth period, we hold them for 24 minutes in their fourth period class, depending on the day. And I think but I'll just go ahead and explain it. And then they're released for their ILT, their lunch, their eating, whatever they want, hanging out with their friends, whatever they want to do. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, we hold English and social studies classes. So if I'm a student and my fourth period is English or social studies, I'm going to be held for 24 minutes in that class so that I can do whatever I need to do. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays is math and science. And then Fridays is pretty much everything else: fine arts, world language, PE, Kate. At the quarter, what happens is we run reports for students that are, what did you say? What's it, a D last year? I can't remember, don't quote me on this, but you'll find out at the quarter, because I'm sure Ms. Radcliffe will send out a call out. But at the quarter, we run reports for all student grades. So any student that has, I believe, a C or above they will no longer need to be held. So if you have a D or an F, then you will still be required to be held in your structured learning time. So your first 24 minutes will be required to stay there. And then what I was referring to for the schedule that we can mandate, if a parent or a counselor feels the need to, then we can say, okay, even though the whole school holds on Monday and Wednesdays English and social studies, you really need to go to algebra, so that's what you're going to do. So we set the schedule and we're able to do it and work with that individual student. So we do have a mentor program. Last year there was a lot of transition and just a lot going on, and we never got to it. But this year we have set our minds, we've expanded our team, we have a lot of people to help. We're going to institute this again. So it's a voluntary program. Parent permission is required. The eligibility is primarily based on grades, credits, academics. If at the end of the day a parent says, hey, this is what's going on, my kid really needs somebody to kind of check on them more so during the day, we're open as long as we have enough people. We use our teachers mainly. We do have some recruiters in the military and some business partners that Ms. Bradley helps us attain, and I'll introduce Ms. Bradley. She stepped in, I'll introduce her as soon as I finish with this. And then the teachers or those recruiters will check in with those students and will also okay, hey, I see you're missing this assignment in geography. Let's get that in. You got a week or whatever, and they keep track of them. And then we also do quarterly events with them, so fun things. So it's not always I'm fussing at you, but also, hey, let's play bingo and eat some popcorn or whatever, so that they can get to know that mentor and hopefully trust and build a relationship with that person. So we talked about structured learning time. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that we missed. We talked about, all teachers being available for students to do makeup work, test corrections, any extra help. We do have a computer lab that's open every day. That's lab C106, so Charlie 106, and that is open for students if they need to write papers. If sometimes teachers have reserved the media center labs, but those are open as well as long as they're available. If they have to do work, if they need to work on their virtual school or their Apex or any type of computer assignment, they can do that in the lab. Academic, not come in there and play Minecraft, but anything that would help them academically, and it's supervised by counselors daily.
Okay, I have another question. With the mandatory SLT, is tutoring automatically offered, or is it still the child's responsibility to, they have to go,
Right.
but will they just sit, or will the teacher take the initiative to help them, or do they need to step up?
Well, I mean, really, I can't answer that across the board. I think it's going to depend on the teacher.
Okay,
I'll tell you, sorry. It really is the student's responsibility, because one thing to keep in mind is it's the entire class that's still in there. So if you walk in a class, you typically do just kind of see kids just waiting to go to lunch. So if a student does kind of need help with that class from that teacher, they do want to approach the teacher and go ahead and start asking for whatever it is that they need help in. Because I don't think most teachers are going to just say, okay, hey, who needs help? What do you have questions about? Because it's still the entire class that's sitting in there. That's just when they're being held in their fourth period class.
And we do encourage them to come, with your missing assignments, with any questions that you have from the homework, or if there's a test and you want to prep for that test. So not just show up, but show up prepared to do something. And if your student needs some coaching, we can help coach them through that. But eventually we'd like them to be advocates, self-advocates, because it's going to be more important as they become adults, obviously, and move on to whatever, field, military, workforce, college. But we don't mind, kind of helping them in that right direction if they need it.
Also, in addition to the lab that we offer that's supervised by the school counselors, we are in the process of offering another daily tutoring lab that's going to be peer tutoring by the Honor Society. So we have a Math Honor Society, a Science Honor Society, Social Studies, and an English Honor Society. So the goal is for each day to have one subject area. So let's say English will be on Mondays. Those English Honor Society students will be available in the lab for any student that needs additional help with English. So a lot of times students are better, they learn better from their peers because they know how to really break it down and explain it to them to where they understand. So most of those honor societies have to get service hours or tutoring service hours. So we are in the process of organizing this so that this is something we can start making available to the students very soon that need it.
Like I mentioned earlier, we look at the child, we try to look at the child holistically. So we do understand that, in a school of 2,500 kids, the traditional classroom may not be for that student. So we have students that come in from all over the nation, students that have been with us, students that come just from county to, over here, and it's just not working. So we have different conversations with them. We have conversations about getting your GED perhaps, or going towards the high school diploma program at Adult Ed if that is an option for you. And the conversations that I have with families about the GED is difficult because I think, when you have your child, and obviously you saw my little, one over here, I'm a parent as well. Yeah, everybody knows who you are. You know, raise your hand. So you don't think, okay, my child, this is the route that they're going to take when they're born. You think of best case scenario, what you want for your kid. You want them to have more than you did. Sometimes their brains, this little one over here, we might be having a GED conversation. Very bright kid, but that's another, I won't go on my personal, but anyway. So I'm just saying I can relate that this may be me sitting on the other end of the table. Because the GED is not the same as it was 15, 25 years ago. You can go to the military, you can go to the workforce, and you can go to college with a GED. So I won't spend too much time on it, but we are trying to work with families so that they can understand that this is just a stepping stone to the next level. If your child is continually having challenges and we're using all of our resources and nothing is seem to work, then let's think about let's think outside the box. And we ask the kid, what do you want to do? And they say, oh, well, I'll just get my GED. Well, it's not easy. You still have to go to school, and it still may take you a while. So let's try this first. Yes, we're absolutely. Like I said, we're in education. We're not about, let's just stop doing this. But what is your ultimate goal, and how can we, get you there? We have 20-year-old kids sometimes come in, and they're from other places, and they only have 6 credits. And what do you want to do? Do you want to go to school for another 2 years, or do you want to start living your life? And how can we help you achieve that? Because it's really about your success in your life and how to get you there. They do have the high school diploma program at the Adult Education Center. You have to have at least earned 20 credits and be past your graduation date to transfer to that program. And then they help with work keys testing as well. And again, these are just community things. So if you or people that are trying to work at Bosch or Boeing and they need their work keys, Adult Ed helps with that. English language learning classes, they have those throughout the day. They help people who English is not their first language. They help them learn that. So they have a lot of resources as well, and they're part of our kind of educational team in Dorchester District too.
They offer childcare.
Yes, they do offer childcare for I think the morning, and it's only like $35 a week, something like that, which is very great. So, community resources. Again, we look at the whole child and how can we help you? How can we help you be successful? Sometimes it's not all about math. Sometimes it's not all about, European history, but there's something else going on, and let's help you move past that so we can take care of this, right? So we have the SKIP program I talked about. This is South Carolina Intervention Program. They are funded through the Drug and Alcohol Commission, but that's not all that they do. We refer kids who cut habitually, who do not attend class or do not attend school, who have behavior management challenges, who have anger management challenges. They specialize in a lot there. And so we're trying to be more proactive in referring our students voluntarily to those programs because we want to help them. We don't want to wait till, because a lot of times SKIP has, when you see SKIP on a letter, it's because you've been recommended for expulsion, and they want to reach you before them. So not have a mandatory help, but how can we help you before? Dorchester County Mental Health, we have a mental health therapist that's here daily. So we do mental health referrals as well if you feel like that would fit, your student or somebody. Because you all go out into the community. So as you talk to people, we just want to share with you everything. So as you talk to your neighbor, as you talk to your cousin, as you talk to the person, at church or at the grocery store, you hear them, hey, and you think, oh, in Dorchester District 2, we have all of these available at every school. The solicitor's office actually has several programs, and I'll just be brief. They have a pretrial intervention program if the student has been charged, a traffic education program. So if you have a traffic violation and there's a certain, and I can talk to you more about it, but there's certain indications that you can potentially have that violation expunged, alcohol education program, and then drug court for anybody that's 18 and over. And they are, we met with the community, we all sat down with leaders from these programs, and they want people to reach out and get the help if they need it. Vocational rehab. So those are students that, we refer students to vocational rehab who are our special needs students. So some students will need some extra help as they transition from high school to that next step, whether they're going to stay at home or they're going to be cared by another person. But they help with job skills, interviewing skills, helping them, essentially life skills, teaching the students life skills. The health department, they talk to us about services that they provide as far as diet, nutrition, counseling, any type of immunization, preventive health. They do different type of clinics, test WIC, and just there are a lot of variety of services that they're able to provide. My Sister's House, if you're unfamiliar, these are support groups for women and children that are suffering or in a situation involved with domestic violence. So they will help, kind of, if you reach out, and they will help you transition, help you, with schooling, help you with shelter, etc. And then we're also going to reach out to them to talk to our teenagers about appropriate relationships, because they also have a preventative program within that resource. And then Trident Hospital came and talked to us, and they are opening some more services here in Somerville, as well as what they have in North Charleston, a pediatric ICU. They're doing more with behavioral health, a sleep study, and then they also told me about this free app. I just thought I'd share it with everybody. It's called Text for Baby, and it's free for moms up to 1 year of a child's life. And if you look that up, Text for Baby, and it tells you how to sign up, and you essentially get free medical advice. So they worked with doctors in the nation. You get free medical advice every week or something, when your child is growing or something else happens, and then it's like, hey, you need to do this, or we're taking your prenatal vitamins. Very comprehensive resource for moms. So after we climb that mountain, right, and we get the student to graduate or go to the military or workforce, and we're like, yes, we're getting them somewhere. Here, this post-secondary considerations, this is what we would like to help them, with job shadowing. Miss Bradley does a great job of organizing that, apprenticeships, career day speakers. She organizes the ASVAB testing, that's the testing for the military. We have college application day here, 2-year college application day, and then again the military recruiters and the college recruiters. And if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Ravenel,
College application day is November 9th. A lot of representatives are here and students can apply to college for free. And then we have our K-Pro College Fair, where a lot of colleges in the area will come in and just kind of give students information. That is going to be on October 31st.
so the college fair is October 31st?
Yes, and then college application day is November 9th. And then 2-year college application day is usually in the spring, like around the beginning of March in the spring.
But again, the admissions counselors come on the 2-year college application day and provide waivers as well, correct?
Yes.
So you can apply to college for free. So that always helps. It's good. So with all of that information that we provided, I know some of you asked questions before, but were there any other questions that you have for the good of the group? I mean, we'll be around if you have specific, questions for your student, particular to that situation. If you have it.
I did just want to say one thing. We talked a lot about SLT. Please encourage your student that if they are afraid to go to their current teacher, so maybe they're taking Algebra 2 and they're struggling, if they've had a connection with a previous math teacher, they can go to any math teacher for tutoring, okay? It doesn't just have to be to their current teacher. Any adult in this building is able to help them with whatever courses they're struggling in. So just try to encourage them to reach out for help, if not their classroom teacher, someone else in the building.
Just another teacher that knows Algebra 2.
Well, right.
They have to get a